Okay, folks, thanks for joining us this evening, and if everybody would turn off your cell phones so we don't have any unusual noises out there in the audience that might make us think something else was going on. If you'd want to join us in the pledge and the prayer, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us bow our head in prayer. Gracious Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day. We enjoy the sunshine. We appreciate the wind to help dry the fields so the farmers can get out and do what they need to do. We ask that you be with those who are hurting, whether it be financial matters or emotional matters or for whatever reason. These are tough times right now, and we ask that you be with them. We ask that you be with us tonight as we have agenda items that come before us. We ask that you give us guidance and wisdom that we may make decisions that are in the best interest of the citizens of Kosciuszko County. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay, and I'll call this meeting to order, and the first item on the agenda is approval of the April 14th minutes.
I'll
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. And next, we have Ann with the library. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you. I suppose it doesn't matter where it's at.
No, it
Okay.
doesn't move much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's been a while, but we have a reappointment for the library board today. And Jennifer Hicks, I contacted her, and she said she's very willing to serve another term, if you so desire. So it's been an interesting 4 years, and she was right there through it all. We even got a strategic plan accomplished during the time. So I really appreciated her on board.
That's great. A board member that's willing to stick with you after the tumultuous 2 years we've had. She must be dedicated.
Yeah.
So, could we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed. Thank you, Ann. Appreciate you coming in. Okay, next on the list is the Extension Office. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Good. Good to have you here.
My name is Andrew Farrell, I'm the 4-H Youth Development Educator. I'm gonna also be talking a little bit about our Health and Human Services position. We're gonna give some program updates real quick, we won't take too much of your time. But I wanted to let you know that our interim CED and Health and Human Services Director couldn't be here. She had a time conflict with another meeting in another county. But Lisa Anderson is our Area 10 Director right now. She's also the interim County Extension Director. And we wanted to let you know that the Health and Human Services position is vacant and will be posted by the end of this week. We're looking to fill that position as soon as possible. And then we are providing services in full force. We've got other county extension educators coming in to carry out some of those job functions. So we have Linda Curley from Lake County, who is helping, providing the Strengthening Families program at the Bowen Center. We've got Karen Ritchie from Marshall County, who's providing the Serve Safe programs. And then we have Asa Reed, who is a new hire in St. Joseph County, coming in to do county homemaker extension services. And then Lisa, who I mentioned earlier, is our Area 10 Director and the interim County Extension Director. She is continuing to fill in to provide the Get Walking program for the county and the county employees. And so if you have questions on the HHS side of things, please reach out to Lisa, come into the office and visit. Those are some of her notes on that end of it. But I would like to share a little bit on the 4-H youth development end. Right now, we are sitting at 542 youth enrolled in 4-H this year. We've got 2 more days until we finish with enrollment. Our what we call our deadline day is on Monday. And so all deadlines come in on Monday. We've got 125 mini 4-H kids, so kindergarten through 2nd grade. That's up 29 from last year. And our enrollment for regular 4-H, 3rd through 12th grade, I said was 545. It's up by 39 this year. So that's pretty good. We're showing some growth coming out of the COVID stuff and whatnot. But past that, you're thinking a lot of, well, fair and 4-H and livestock and like everybody else does, and that's totally okay. But you need to know a few other programs that I've had going over the last year. One of them being a really great partnership I made with Baker Youth Club. I worked with the executive director there, Tracy, and him and I put together a program for his kids that is all robotics learning. And so STEM related, they are learning robotics, coding, mathematics, engineering, and we've done 6 different programs with them, all based on the robotics field. And so that has been about 80 to 100 kids that we've served in that capacity. I have partnered up with Goshen Health Services to provide curriculum and education to kids during the summer feeding program across Starr County. And so we're getting out and teaching kids lots of healthy living activities as they go through the summer health or the summer food program through Wawasee, Whitco, Warsaw, Tippy Valley schools. We've got staff that are going out to help teach that curriculum. And then I have just recently started conversations with Grace College and partnering with them to jump up our volunteer development and possibly looking to extend into their school of education for their students to be able to help become some volunteers and get field experience hours as well. And so we've got lots of avenues outside of just the fair. I am sending 11 youth down to Purdue University for what we call Academy, which is career development. They're going to get to explore about a 3-day stay on Purdue's campus and explore a career that they're interested in. And we've got 11 staff going to that. And right now we have 3 going to our roundup, which is like the middle school level for career development. But that registration just opened here last week, so we'll probably have somewhere around the 20 range to send down to Purdue in the middle school age to do some career development as well. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a program update on the 4-H end. I appreciate your time. I'm going to pass it to my colleague here so he can talk about agriculture, natural resources. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I'd just like to say, it sounds like you're doing a great job.
It's busy, keeps me on my toes, but we love it, and the kids are really, really excited. Hopefully, next month we can get on and I'll have some junior leaders come and they can kind of talk about some of the impacts, so. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm Emily Luke. I am the Assistant Agricultural and Natural Resources Extension Educator here. I was actually with you guys not too long ago with Kelly, but I just wanted to also come and give you a brief update on what I've been working on my end since I've started. So Kelly and I work together. Kelly, like she said, she has taken on some leadership roles. She is Area 11 Director, so I was brought in to help her do some of the programming. So I started back in October, so had about 6 months or 8 months on the job now. But one of the opportunities that got presented to me when I started was actually to be a grant logistics coordinator on our Purdue Farm Stress grant. And this grant is with the Indiana Department of Agriculture and Indiana Rural Health Association. And there's three main objectives for that grant. The first one is to reduce stigma regarding mental health in rural farming families and ranching industries throughout the state of Indiana via targeted group conversations. So we would put programming together to talk about the importance of mental health for farmers and deliver that. The second objective is to expand public promotion of stress reduction and mental health promotion with farmers, farm families, and agribusiness persons. So under that objective, we would go out to trade shows and just have a booth and resources. So if a farmer would happen to need them or someone that works with farmers, we have the resources available for them. So for example, back in January, we were at the Fort Wayne Farm Show and we had a booth and resources that people could pick up. But the last objective is where I'm pretty heavily involved in, and that is to develop and implement a training to educate 988 call center personnel on the unique challenges and best practices of responding to and supporting rural communities, particularly farm families. So if you haven't heard, 988 will be the new call center, the suicide prevention hotline. So if someone is in a mental health crisis, instead of calling 911, they will be able to call this 988 call center and will be given mental health resources and will be able to talk to someone. Right now, if someone would happen to call 911 when they're in a mental health crisis, they will probably get sent to the emergency room, put on a doctor's waiting list for quite a few months, or have the law enforcement come and visit. So we're really excited about this 988 call center, but where we come in, our team has been tasked with developing a training for those 988 call center personnel about agriculture. So once these 988 call center personnel once they complete this training, they will be able to understand and identify the most common demographics of farming and rural communities. So who is that farmer on the other end of the line, and what is kind of their demographics? They will be able to recognize key terms or phrases to indicate the callers are farmers in a rural community. They will be able to understand and identify potential stressors specific to agriculture. So why is that farmer potentially in that mental health crisis, and what are some of those stressors that a farmer could be having on the farm? Recognize common and potential lethal means that exist on farms, and then to be able to provide knowledgeable resources specific to agriculture. So when those farmers call and the call center personnel needs to give resources, specifically having those agriculture resources to give to that farmer, because majority of Indiana is in a mental health desert. So we don't really have too many of those options. So this has been a really good opportunity to be able to work on this. So actually, once this rolls out, this will be a requirement for all 988 call center personnel across the United States. So they will be required to take this agriculture section to learn more about it, because majority of these call center personnel are going to be located in bigger cities. So like Indy, for example, where they might not have that agriculture background. So just being able to promote the importance of mental health in the agricultural community has been a good opportunity. So aside from that, we also have some local programming going on within the county. So Master Gardeners is a big one. We will actually be starting up a new program in the fall to train a new set of Master Gardeners. We actually have quite a big list of people that are interested already, just to learn about home horticulture things, and then actually be able to go out and teach others. We actually have some Master Gardeners at Mentone Elementary teaching windowsill gardening right now and interacting with the third graders. I brought along just a little summer educational programming packet so you can kind of see the broad aspects of all the things, all the different programming that we are doing. And I also put some more Purdue Farm Stress Team information in there as well if you would like it, but I just wanted to provide that. One other program that we're working on is an Annie's project. And this is specifically for farm women, to give them the empowerment to also work right alongside their husband or, their partner to run that farm. So learning about the financials, legal advice, crop insurance and all that stuff. So we did that with Noble County this past winter, and we had about 6 women complete that. It's a 6-week program. So we're launching one here in June virtually. So that's a little bit about what we're doing on the ag side. So just wanted to give you a little update. I will leave these here with her so that you can look these over and kind of see what we're doing. So thanks for having us tonight.
Thank you very much. Anybody
you.
have any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
I do. The 988 line, when does that take effect?
Yeah, so that's actually, will start in July of this year. So in a couple months, July of 2022.
And as far as the word getting out, since this is nationwide, is there like public service announcements lined up or?
Yes, I believe they have been promoting it themselves. I've seen it out online quite a bit, but as far as outside of that, I'm not sure, but I have seen it myself that they are promoting it, that it is the new option if you're in a mental health crisis.
Okay, anybody have anything else?
Thank you.
very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Appreciate you coming in
Thank
this
you.
evening. Marcia?
Good evening. I have 2 items for you this evening. The first would be the Indiana Cancer Consortium grant request. This is a formal approval as the grant was actually, it was one of those short timelines. It was due April 25th, so this is the formal approval, obviously. It's for $5,000, and this is specifically for employers of any size who have established a workplace as a primary setting to focus on primary prevention and early detection. This is an initiative based to help promote the cancer gold standard from the Roundtable on Cancer with the state. So hopefully what this would do would help us give some more support to our health and wellness program that we already have in place.
I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is a salary ordinance amendment for the Veterans Affairs Officer. What this does is add 8 hours a week for this person, our VSO, to continue to serve our veterans. Right now, he has a waiting list for appointments. He's going out to the legions and meeting with the veterans in their places, those that are more comfortable in that space. He's been asked to come out to different programs and speak, and so he's really getting out there in the community. So we just feel like it'd be beneficial for the veterans to have a few more hours, and those 8 hours a week will give him the leeway that he needs.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those,
I apologize, but there's a spelling error.
Yeah.
And I just now looked at it, Michelle, so.
Oh, there is?
we can
We'll fix it.
We can fix it. Yeah. Michelle's great. She can fix it. She can fix anything.
Just get your red pen.
So we have a motion and a second. Now, all in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed. And I am hearing good things.
Oh, yeah.
I have talked to
Yeah, I mean,
veterans
we're hearing a lot of good
who
things.
have
He is-
actually interacted with him and feel like he's doing a good job. So that's a blessing.
It is a blessing that we've got somebody that's willing to do what he does to serve our veterans, and he has a passion for it, so it's great to see. The next item is the salary ordinance amendment for systems administration. Actually, this was just a formality because this went through the wage committee and they did vote on it, and this just puts the salary ordinance into place to be able to hire someone if they meet those guidelines at that salary.
I'd make a motion to approve.
We have a
I'll
motion.
second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shane?
Hi, Shane.
I come before you with a list of things that we need to try to go over with. The first couple of things I have is, I have 2 grant proposals. The first one is a grant that we're looking into. It's a COPS hiring grant from the U.S. Department of Justice. This is a federal grant reimbursement, and we are asking for the amount of $250,000. This grant will allow the sheriff's office to seek, try to help with, migrate the cost of additional new deputies for the sheriff's office. Because the goal of this grant, the COPS hiring program grant, is to provide direct funding to law enforcement agencies for hiring additional career law enforcement officers to help increase the efforts for community policing and crime prevention efforts. How this grant works is the grant will cover 75% of the entry-level salary and benefits of each approved position for 3-year funding of the period for the grant. For the full-time officer, the county would have to come up with a minimum of 25% of the cost of for the grant. The grant allows one officer position that covers $125,000 for each officer for a 3-year period. The grant will have you cover the full amount in year 4. So that is the first one I have before you.
So to just add a little bit more information, the current entry-level deputy is making $52,853. So that means $41,666 would be paid of what a new one would cost, and we would be responsible for the $11,200 that's left, plus all the benefits for the officers that we would hire. And then in that last year, obviously, it'd be ours in total. I can tell you, I think probably 2000, I don't know, I was the auditor when we did one before. It's been a long time. But then at the end, they're ours. We can't let them go, especially in that last year, because that's part of the agreement. We couldn't let them go. But if we ever let them go, which I don't know, once they got to be a merit deputy, if you could ever let them go, I think they're ours forever. So does anybody have, let's take some questions here. You guys discuss whatever you're thinking. 'Cause
I apologize, I was at the commissioners meeting, but I can't remember how they voted.
They were in favor for it.
Yeah,
I thought they.
And can I share in there, we went to the wage committee here, it's been proposed that at the first year, additional 2 officers. So we were trying to come up with a way to offset that expense to help the benefit for the county and the community on that end of it. So this is just a possibility. There's no guarantee. I believe there's only like 180 total grants out there you can get. So we'll compete with everybody else in the country. But if we don't try, that's our whole thing we're looking at. We try to put in for it. There's that possibility, help cover that cost.
And I think the other important thing is that if we agree to this and we wind up being awarded it, we can't later say, we don't think so. Because once you turn down a grant, you're on the bad list for a long time. So we need to be sure this is really what we want to do. What's the deadline to file this?
We talked about before, I think it's June 9th, June 9th. If I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, due date.
Does anybody have any other questions of Shane?
Well, like everyone else, I mean, we're competing with other municipalities for officers.
That's correct.
And their wages, and I'd make a motion to approve the grant application.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. One opposed.
Thank you,
All right,
Shane.
thank you.
Thank you,
The second one, I do have another grant proposal. I'm trying to apply for the KRMC Operation Roundup. It's through the Kaskaskia County Community Foundation. This is a reimbursement grant, and we're asking for an amount of $4,986. Purpose of this grant is we're trying to purchase 2 dive suits for our dive team. This will cover the cost of the 2 dry suits and the undergarments for our agency, for our divers.
I'd say this one was a little easier.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion
I will
to
agree with you on
approve.
that one.
We have a motion. We have a second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed.
The next thing we have on our list is additional appropriations. If you remember, I came before you in the last couple months with these 3 grants. We've been awarded the grants. The first one is the Safe Trip, and that is our stop arm grant that we do pretty much every year for the last few years, and then for the amount of $12,500. You want me to go through all these at the same time, or do you want me to do individual?
Is everybody okay with taking them all together? Because we did approve for
Yeah.
them to apply for
Okay.
them. So
And then
yeah,
the other 2 were just the 2 body cam grants, one for $16,000, the other one was for $4,900.
I would make a motion to approve all these.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. I just have one question.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. But the body cameras will be for officers in the field?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then the more newer body cams we push, we would then push them into their jail and rotate them that way. And the last thing I come before you is we're just asking if we can transfer $41,500 from our repair and maintenance to our motor vehicles to offset cost of our new car builds that we have here. Due to the, as like everybody knows, the price of car builds increased on us since we made our budget last year. Car prices went up. The cars have been purchased. These are for our bills, the lights. We also have bought more. We had stop sticks, gun racks, and there's some additional costs that we have incurred since. So that's what we're asking to just transfer the money to help offset that.
What's the cost per vehicle?
It depends which kind of vehicle we get. If you remember correctly, we
So these haven't been ordered?
no, they have been. They have been purchased. Everything's done. That's already been paid for. This just cover the cost for the builds. It costs now, increased over the last year and a half. It's probably over $3,000 a piece for car builds, if not more. That's just the build itself. That's not including getting the gun racks and the other equipment for it.
And when were they ordered?
When we order them,
When did they get ordered?
we order them January 1 at the beginning of the year.
And in January, you didn't know you were $41,000 short? Or you're short because of the accessories? or-
Yes, the accessories, yeah. The cars itself are normally right around, they did increase on us about 38,000. And our goal was, we were hoping to be able to build them for under 50,000 each vehicle. And unfortunately, that's due to how the economy is, things have changed.
What if we canceled one vehicle?
Well,
They're already here.
yeah.
You can't do it?
We already purchased it, they're paid for. They've been, we already paid for them. We already purchased them. They're in our possession already.
So they're waiting to be outfitted.
Yes.
And so your plan was to buy 5 cars. That's
That's what we've been doing for the last, at least the last 4 or 5 years. It was
Okay.
when,
And then you bought another car from another fund someplace, did you?
well, we buy other vehicles through a commissary. Those are mainly for our administration or detectives. We buy vehicles that way. The cars that we buy out of our budget are for our patrolmen, the guys who work day in, day out for patrol.
What will this do to the maintenance budget?
I'm sorry?
What will this do to the maintenance budget?
As of right now, our maintenance budget, we're okay. We haven't had because we have been updating our cars more often, we don't have, and we went to the hybrids. So the expenses of our older vehicles have decreased, so that has helped that end of it. That is one thing we've done over the last 3 years. We have gone to hybrids to help offset the cost of the fuel. As you know how hybrids work, I mean, if you drive below a certain, they just run off the battery, and then if they sit, as we know, as law enforcement, the officers get out and handle stuff, the cars, instead of idling, burning gas, it goes to the electric. on
So
that
you
end.
feel in 6 months you won't be back for a additional appropriation for maintenance?
Not for maintenance. The fuel prices, I'll be honest with you, I have my concerns on fuel, just because if we all know, I mean, when we made our budget before, it was roughly at $2.50 a gallon, and as we know, it has, unfortunately, has increased on us on that end of it. I will be upfront, that's my concern, we're going over the budget, looking at it here. Just the nature of the beast, unfortunately.
Okay, somebody tell me where we're at. Did we?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Okay.
transfer.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Anyone opposed? One opposed.
I appreciate your time. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Shane.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Shane. Okay, moving right along. Steve Moriarty. Good evening.
Good evening. I have a few things to bring in front of you today. The first one's going to be a salary ordinance that was passed by the recommendation by the Wage Committee that was brought to you for the increase of part-time truck drivers and part-time mowers. This is one where you've approved it, but I need you to go through and sign the ordinance appropriating that.
There's a kind of a spelling mistake I noticed on part-time. It says part-time truck driver, then it also says part-time truck mowers. Should the truck be scratched out there? It's just part-time mowers? Okay.
I make a motion to approve that.
Okay,
What do your part-time truck drivers do?
Haul to the paver, cut brush, patch.
Sporadically throughout the year, though.
Yeah. To be honest, we can't find any part-time truck drivers right now. Only thing we can find is just part-time.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
The second thing is I'd like to do an additional appropriation into the MVH. For the supply and garage, I'd like an additional $150,000. This money that we do have it in our account, in our MVH budget, but we need to transfer it to supplies and parts. And I think it's self-explanatory with the world and the information that we have with our economy. Parts that we bought years ago, even 1 year ago in July when we set our budget, have, if not tripled, went up significantly. I have a list, I won't read through it, but we're running into some hard times. And we have enough to get through summer, but come into the end, when we get into fall and going into winter, we want to make sure that we're covered for this.
And you expect this to be enough to run the whole year? I mean, I know your crystal ball may not work, but this is your best guess.
I am hoping. This is what we sit down and we tried to do inflation by another 7% going through the end of the year, and we think this might do it. Now, with the older fleet that we have, sometimes we have some big issues. If you're replacing motor and it costs $23,000, then we're gonna have to come up with something else. So,
Looking at their fund balance, it's over $3 million. I would make a motion to go ahead and approve this. It's just a fact of life that things are going up. It's the cost of inflation. It's the times we live in.
sad.
So we have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
The other thing that I have is I have an additional appropriation of the motor vehicle highway. We'd like to put into bituminous $264,738. 250 of this thousand comes from the closure of a railroad. So we would like to be able to use this money to put it on the roads. And then the other one comes from leftover money from our Lowett money from years past that we had $14,738 left over, and we'd like to be able to put that into our chip and seal program, be able to use it. So I need you to approve, if you could, money so I can use it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'd second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed. And this is for 900 South? Is that what you said?
Yes, at this
More or
time.
less?
Yes.
Sort of, kind of?
It's gonna be down south because that's the closure that we made, so we'll use the money down where it's been taken.
In, for, or about?
Yes,
That's the
around.
terminology. Okay.
Hey, thank you very
Steve.
much.
And next we have, okay. Ed, you can be right after Michelle.
Under any further business? Sorry about that. So yes, I actually have a few different things in addition to what I am bringing to you for your regular encumbering. So the 2021 encumbered funds that we have processed in the last month total $5,383. $84.37. So we did have a very few stragglers come in here at the end that did qualify for us to encumber those funds from 2021.
Make a motion to approve the encumbrances.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
So I have some very, very exciting news, hot off the presses, or my email at 4:10 today. Received information from the Department of Local Government Finance on a supplemental income distribution for this year. So in total, we're going to receive a supplemental distribution from our COIT funds of $601,122. Of that, the portion that belongs to Kosciuszko County is going to be $219,669. And since those are the COIT dollars, those COIT funds are stored within County General. So that will help support our cash balance in our County General Fund. In our edit fund, the total amount of the surplus supplemental distribution is $257,624. Our portion of that is $160,208. So we are expected to get this deposit in the next week or so, and we have to have it turned around and distributed to the other units before June 1st.
Michelle, how does that compare to other years?
This is a little bit lower than previous years, which means their estimates are getting a little bit more refined at the Department of Revenue. And of course, it's always a guessing game as far as when they collect versus when they distribute and calculating the returns and everything on our income. But it's always a good thing when we do receive a supplemental distribution because it's way better than when they over-distribute and we have to return it. So this is always, this is a happy thing when we do receive this, especially since it's right before budget time.
Right.
And Michelle, this represents what they're holding on our behalf that's above 15%.
Yes.
So, the AIC, and we have talked about this some, trying to reduce the amount that they're holding. And the AIC, as well as the County Council Association, is looking at that again for next year in legislative terms to see if we can't move that forward, so.
Yes, so if that is moved forward, we would get a substantially larger supplemental distribution at that time. And this year, it's wonderful because when we did receive it, there are no additional strings attached. There are times when they have adjusted that percentage in the past, that when we received the distribution, it was earmarked for specific items. Part of those in the past have been highway items, and actually $14,000 of what Steve just asked to have appropriated was left over from the last time we had a special distribution that was earmarked specifically for highway funding. So we received our monies back, but they were specifically earmarked on how we could use them. So that's always, the gamble we take when they do a major adjustment in that way, so.
Thank you.
Great.
And I will forward that email with the details to it, to you guys going forward. They've given us every, county in the state and what they received, but.
I got that before I came, but I couldn't open it.
Yeah, right at the end of the day, so that was good news. The only other thing I have is, last month's meeting, we talked about having our all-day budget workshop. We had planned on that being on August 25th, which was a Thursday, in this room. Unfortunately, this room is not available that day because there is another meeting here, so I could not schedule the room. So would you like for me to schedule that meeting in another room, or would you like to pick a different date so we could continue to house it here?
What about the basement of the Justice Building?
Yeah, that multi-purpose room. It's better, it's easier here, there anyhow.
It's completely up to you. It would not be recorded if it's in the multi-purpose room.
Video conference room is not recorded. at all.
The room the smaller room at the end of the hall, I believe we had it there last year. We can record it there. My cameras are a little bit off as far as what I can capture, but if you still want it to be on August 25th, I can check the availability of that room tomorrow.
That works for me.
Yeah, rather than change the date, I'd just rather change the location, and if the smaller room works better as far as recording, so be it. Let's go that way. Yeah. I'd put that in motion if you need that.
Okay, we have a motion to move the meeting to wherever we can.
We can, wherever we can.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So Michelle, we didn't need to vote on that other because we're not going to vote it down, the money.
We are not going to vote that down, and it's going to be in our bank whether we want to take it or not, and I sure don't want to send it back.
Super. Thank you very much. Now, Ed, it can be your turn.
I will attempt to make this short and sweet. Basically, the reason I'm here is to ask for permission to submit for Indiana Department of Homeland Security Grant 2022 SHSP, which is State Homeland Security Program, for one of their priority grants, which can be maxed out at $150,000. I am asking for the entire amount. They are very specific on some of the things that can be applied for, something like enhanced protection of soft targets, the information technology side of it, combat domestic violent extremism, enhanced community preparedness, enhanced cybersecurity, and enhanced election security. Now, after we had a meeting last week, I think those that attended that meeting realized that probably cyber would be the one that's going to end up getting tagged for this particular grant, but those discussions are still taking place.
So that was a very interesting and educational meeting. I thought they had a lot of interesting points that certainly called attention.
Did it scare you any?
I would make a motion to approve that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Ed's grant. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
You're good. Look, Shane wants to come up again.
I apologize, make it a little short, sweet. I just got to, I want to present, we're going to have a special merit board meeting in July.
Oh, okay.
Stan Brown with McCready and Keene is going to go over our pension. I know Ernie attended last year, and I thought it was very helpful for you guys to understand how our pension works. If you guys are interested, please let me know. I will send you the invite of that date. We're still working on a time where our merit board members have a conflict on our normal scheduled merit board meeting, but we are probably going to have it early in July. So I just want to give you that invite real quick.
I'm going to
Thank you.
speak on behalf of all of us. Please send it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you want me to send it to everybody then?
Yep.
Please.
Okay, I just want to make sure, so I'll do that.
Commissioners too.
What's that? Commissioners too. Well, I can do that invite to them on our next commissioners meeting, so, but I will, our plans are, I think it was very beneficial. I think we talked to Ernie last time.
Great.
I think it was our goal going forward to make sure you guys are everybody's involved in it.
Great. If you don't want to mess around, send it to everybody, send it to Michelle, and she'll send it to all of us.
I just sent it to Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Okay, moving on down, these are things that are not on the agenda, but things that are added. Oh, Marcia, I'm sorry. I was reading my notes, dear.
I thought you were to the point of anything else.
Oh, well, I could stop there, yeah.
Any further business? So I have several updates for you, if I may. We had worked on some furniture. We had two different offices that had needs for furniture, so we just completed that today. IT needed new desks. They still had the old metal desks that were designed for typewriters. So we thought with bringing in another person, this would be a good time to update their office. So that was done today. We had another office that the desk was falling apart and it was kind of propped up by a divider and the drawers were taped shut. So we replaced that one today and this week as well. And then the other one was an ergonomic request that we had to do an update on that desk. So those were all done today. One of the other items, if you remember, you approved the grant through the ARPA fund for the jail showers. So we're still working on that project. Yesterday, we started the 4th cell block over in the jail, so it's just kind of a rolling, we just keep going. As we finish one, we start another one, and each block has like 3 to 4 showers in it. So it's probably about a 6-week process. So that's ongoing. And while they have the inmates out of those blocks, I have my maintenance people going in, just doing basic repairs, small things that need to be done. It's just easier when there aren't any inmates in the block to have to worry about. So they're replacing the lights that haven't been done to date with LEDs and updating those. So it's twofold.
Coordinated effort.
Tamper-proof.
Well, I don't know in that situation that there is anything that is tamper-proof, but we do the best that we can. So out on the courthouse square, today and tomorrow, doing some tree trimming that was past needed. Have a lot of dead limbs and just giving the trees an update and a health check in that regard. One of the other items, we're looking at buying copiers. So we have probably 3 copiers in the county that need to be updated. We're trying to find vendors that provide, because we have issues with certain models that with our systems that IT has asked that we not use certain models. So we're trying to work through that with our procurement policy to try and meet everybody's needs but still be functional. So still working on that. And another item, the commissioners approved installing a capacitor in the Justice Building, and that was approximately $66,000 for that. What that is, we've noticed an increase in our NIPSCO bill. We have demand charges, so we've tracked the demand charges. So for the past year, we tracked it. It was probably approximately $90,000, and the return on investment, they're saying plus or minus about 80% in a year's time. So hopefully that will help our bills with the light over in the Justice Building as well. So that's on order, obviously, approximately 12 weeks. So we can only wait for that to come in to get the installation done. And last but not least, the approval of the Public Safety Communications Project, where we're at with that. I've met with Metronet and asked for a 30-day installation on the fiber connection from the Justice Building to our central site, which is at the county highway. And also we approved the microwave connection as well. So that connects the Justice Building Dispatch Center out to the county highway. And then the towers, I just received word about 5:30 today that they're expected to finish up the tower site at Claypool with the piers for the shelter, as well as the cement pad for the generator there. And so next comes the towers. So I checked with the consultant, and they expect to have Grant County finished up this coming week and expect to be in Kosciuszko County, which they'll start at the central site at the highway and start installation there. So we expect another week to pass, and we'll have tower installation, the shelters there, and then each week after that, we should have a tower at the north site, shelter installation, the same next following week down at the Claypool site. So things are moving along. All the equipment is in for the shelters that connects the towers. We're just waiting on the final parts to come in for the microwave connection equipment from dispatch to out at the highway. So possibly we'll be testing the system in July. What needs to happen is, I'm going to say the end of July, but don't hold me to that. We'll see how that progresses. There's always something that throws a glitch in the system, but that's our projected testing time. But we have to test while the leaves are still on the trees.
So does that mean they'll be, when you're doing the testing, does that mean they should be completed?
Yes, testing means the system is complete. And I believe the plan is not everybody jumps on the system all at once, but they'll start putting on certain entities at a time, beginning with the Sheriff's Department. So there'll be updates to come when we get that far as well. Any questions?
Anybody have anything else for Marcia?
Jail showers, is that like a glazing or what?
Yeah, it's like a ceramic coat. What they could do is they go in and they sand down the floors and the walls. floor gets a different kind of coating that's non-slip, and then it's a seal coat, and then they do the same thing in the shower walls. It's because it's block and it's porous, so they have to sand that, and there's several coats that goes on that and seals it so the moisture doesn't get in. But we have found there were a couple of blocks that we had to, a couple showers, that we had to wait an extra period of time to dry those out, make sure there wasn't moisture in the blocks before they started the seal coat. But that is moving along. Okay,
Super.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Kathy wants to share, I asked if Kathy would share the Wage Committee report.
Yeah, as you guys know, the Wage Committee, we met back in May, on May 12th, and we discussed several things. And one of the things that we would like to bring to the board or the council today to approve is for community corrections. And we would like to have you approve sending job descriptions to Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy to be updated and wage reevaluated, then deliver back directly to Wage Committee for further consideration. So we're not making a definite decision at this time, but we would like to be able to send that to Wagner and Shealy to have them look at the job descriptions.
They did a lot of revamping of what their individual people are doing. And we just feel like we've done that with everybody else for total rewrites, and that's pretty much what these were. They took them from A to Z and tried to figure it out.
I think it's best to do those as they come along rather than wait such a long time that you fall way behind, and then the pay that they should be getting falls further behind. So I would recommend approval of that one.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. And the other part of that is there were several other things that came before the Wage Committee that we did not feel like we wanted to take action on. We felt like it needed to be done at the time of the budgeting because they were asking, many of the departments were asking for something right now, which we knew we were not going to do right now because we couldn't. So that's everything on the Wage Committee. And then I had sent you all, I believe I sent you the information on the budget for the county council. So we don't necessarily have to act on it tonight, but by our next meeting, we do have to take action because we have to have it to Michelle by the 15th of June, and our council meeting will be on June 9th. So give it some time, think about what else we need to put into it. I mean, obviously, we have a really limited budget, but we want it to be accurate. So, and I do have the information. I have it already done. I mean, the buckets that need to be filled out. But if we can do that on the 9th, then we'll have it to Michelle, and she'll be happy with this.
Do we have a history of how previous years have run as far as up to whatever, the end of May or April, whatever record you have?
Yeah, Michelle sent me all that. Did I not send all of that stuff to you guys? I maybe didn't.
I don't
maybe
remember
didn't.
seeing it, but,
I can just forward them your email.
okay. I always find
Okay.
that interesting, helpful.
And then I did prepare something for you to kind of start to look at about the capital outlays. And on that sheet, you'll see what we've done for capital outlays in the various different departments. And I just provided that as a prerequisite to starting into the budget because I think we all need to see where we're at with the big outlays to know how we can continue to do some of those things. Okay, that doesn't require any kind of action. The next thing I have on my list is calendar. So on the 19th of May, KEDCO is doing the officials roundtable, and they're doing it at the K-21 facility out on Park Avenue in Winona. It starts at 6:30. The last one they planned it on the night when we had a county council meeting. So obviously, they didn't have any of us there, and I think it's kind of important. With all the things that are going on in the county, with the HELP grant and everything else, we need to try to connect with every unit, and all of us kind of tried to get together as much as we can. So that's the 19th of May at 6:30 out at the K-21 Foundation in Winona. And then the Help Grant Forum on June 7th, there'll be a meeting at Westminster from 6 to 8, and that is kind of pulling the whole Help Grant thing together, kind of the major takeoff for it. And I think that's important for as many of us to attend that as what can. And then I do want to share with you that the County Council Association's conference will be at the Monroe County Convention Center in downtown Bloomington on the 24th and the 25th. And normally on that Friday, that's a Friday and a Saturday, on that Friday, normally the AIC has done the educational program, but the County Council Association is going to do it. And Friday, we think we have a great program lined up where Senator Luke Kinley, former Senator Luke Kinley, and Dr. Box is going to come and share some information on the health committee that was formed to address some of the health issues in Indiana. And we believe that will be a very beneficial, because it may have some wide-reaching impacts. They're trying to regionalize some things. We all need to understand how that process is going to work. So we are working on that, but we do have good things planned also for Saturday. But that will be downtown Bloomington, and the hotel is like, I believe it's
And that's
connected.
in September?
June
June.
24th and 25th.
Are you going to send out, like, information about where we're staying and all that? I'm
There
sure-
will be, yeah, we had a conference call yesterday. They were still trying to nail down the last person to talk. So they should have that out soon. And the fees are going to be a little bit different. If you go 2 days, I think it's like, I want to say $70, something like that, which will be a little bit different, but it will be worth it, I believe. So at this point, does anybody from the public have any comments they'd like to make? Any questions, anything we said that you would like to know more about? Carrie, is there anything from the back of the room you would like to talk to us about?
Not really. I mean, once you kind of went through all the projects the commissioners have going on, appreciate most of you were able to attend the commissioner meeting and starting our Parks and Rec Board, which is exciting. So do appreciate everybody attending that was able to. So exciting. And just a reminder, I know I'm working on a list of some people that have approached me that want to be on the board. I'm happy to share that with your group as well, but there will be 2 appointments that you guys will be needing to appoint. Hoping to probably do that maybe as quick as even the next meeting, because I'd really like to get that started. I know Kathy wants to talk a little bit about something that we've learned about at MACOG when she does her round tables.
Okay.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, we probably will do that at our next meeting. I would hope that we will have it done and finished, and we'll vote at the next meeting at the latest, Carrie. Uh-huh. Okay, public comments. Let's start with Kathy, since we know she has something.
Well, I guess the thing I would like to report on was that I went to the MACOG meeting yesterday, and they have some grants for trails, and, as you know, we just formed our board, and, we need that in order to apply for grants. Well, they had a letting on their grants, but they still have $30 million left, but they think that they'll have another go at it towards the end of the year. So if we get, and I asked him, do we need to have like an actual plan for trails or whatever? And he said, not necessarily. I mean, it's helpful if you do that, but there's no way we'll have all that by then, but we can still apply for the grant once we get everything set up. So, I just think that's really awesome that we might be able to get, started
yeah,
right away.
That is great.
So I did attend some other events too. I don't know if you want me to, Commissioner's budget. I went to the Budget and Finance 2 class, which was really interesting. I went to cybersecurity thing and then MACOG.
How was the solid waste meeting?
We have hired a new outreach coordinator,
Okay,
and the positive thing about the whole process was there was more than one applicant.
great. And everything else there is just running along?
Everything else just running along.
That's great, that's great. Let's start down there with John then.
our last Bowen Center meeting was our annual Board of Directors meeting, and it was held at Swan Lake Resort and Conference Center in Plymouth. So there wasn't a whole lot of business that went with this. But they did have election of board members for new 3-year terms. And there were 8 of them, and one of them was for Kosciuszko County, which was Cindy Brady, and they were all approved to keep serving.
Great.
Nothing to report.
That's fine. Okay, I got enough for both of us.
Good.
Okay.
That's fine.
Well, Sue Ann, I had one other thing. The Area Plan Commission, Katie Clark came up and gave a presentation on Forward Kosciuszko, and now it moves for approval from the commissioners at their next meeting, I believe. Is that correct?
1-4, so yeah, went to next meeting.
Super. So that's moving forward as well.
The planning commission's already approved it, and it's coming before the commission to finalize it. And then, remember, in this comprehensive plan, there's a plan for each individual community in the county. So each one of those communities then will also
Have
have
to-
to adopt their own plan for their own community. So, I mean, I have a chance to view it as comprehensive.
That's great. So,
Oh, I did go to the health presentation, the art thing in Mentone,
Oh,
which
in
was really
Mentone, yeah.
interesting. Yeah, super interesting.
so they had a good crowd in
Yeah, they had a good
Mentone.
crowd, yep.
That was on the 4th of May. I attended the one that was on the 7th of May. It was a beautiful Saturday, and there weren't very many of us there, but we talked and visited and learned a lot.
Yours was at Pearson, right?
Yeah, at Pearson. And on the 11th of June, there'll be one in Etna Green from 1 to 3. And on the 17th of June, there'll be one in Milford from 5:30 to 7:30. And then that ties back to the meeting I mentioned earlier, the 7th of June. That's kind of pulling all those together, so that's a real big thing. And I don't know whether you're all aware of what Amy Rowe's been doing, but that girl has, you talk about drinking from a fire hose, that girl has definitely been drinking from a fire hose. I mean, there's all kind of things going on that are trying to tie us all together, which I think once we get to those comprehensive plans, we're going to see how glad everybody is that they have a little bit of contact with each other, because that will be a great way to actually share.
I also went to the training on Monday,
Oh,
They had-
in Fort Wayne?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, great.
which was really interesting because it's learning about the demographics and where our needs potentially are. So it was really interesting, but there's another training coming up. And if you're on one of the committees, I believe you're supposed to
You're
be
supposed to
going
attend,
to one of
yeah.
those trainings.
Okay, and the legislative planning, the county council's legislative committee, we are working on 2023, and we will have a meeting on June 24th when we're in Bloomington. And that's for anybody that wants to stay, so we can talk through, I think we've got 11 things on our list of things that we want to address legislatively. So we'd be glad to have everybody stay for that. We did have an ARPA meeting on the 11th of May. We still do not have more money that we are supposed to be receiving, and therefore, we did not, Ernie, you didn't take credit for that meeting. You were there.
Oh, that's true. I guess I was.
The ARPA meeting, we did not have that second round of money, and so we made the decision, we're not making any promises that we can't keep unless we've got the money in the bank. So we're waiting to make any further decisions on ARPA distribution. And then Michelle had mentioned to me that the KCCRVC meeting had gone very well, and so I listened to it online today, and I'm telling you, it's great. They have figured out that it's good to spend that money, not recklessly, but to spend it and not just sit on it, and to be able to do some things that are going to help those people who are putting heads in beds, which are making that revenue, which are helping the restaurants, which are helping the businesses. So their economic impact is pretty big with what they're looking at, and I so applaud that board and the great things that they're doing. And then the other thing was obviously the park ordinance. We will need to address that appointment. So we will be taking care of that also at our next meeting. So I would say if anybody has names that you want to share, how about can we send them to Michelle? And Michelle can make a list and then we can all kind of, and I would personally prefer that we at least try to interview these people because I believe this is a pretty important thing. Much like what we did with the Tippy Chapman people, we interviewed them. And so if anybody wants to volunteer to be on that evaluation committee, just let Michelle know and we'll move forward that way.
Is fundraising gonna be a major portion of that, or?
I kind of got that. Carrie, do you want to address that a little bit? What those board members are going to be expected to be doing? Are they going to be like the cheerleader and they're going to be trying to raise whatever money or what is their function going to be?
At least how I would see that is, they're gonna be the captains of the ship. I mean, as far as it is its own department, I mean, it is a volunteer board, we're probably gonna put a small budget together for miscellaneous office expense type stuff, but we're really not looking at this is gonna be a budget buster at all. So, I mean, I think the key is we really wanna find people that are passionate about outdoor recreation in Kosciuszko County and want to be part of that, because my main focus, or what I'm looking at, and I know I'm just one of the commissioners, but is really wanting to get to where the trail, the connectivity of those trails with our communities. We have so many assets that are already here in our county. I'm not really wanting the county to add assets. I'm wanting them to help connect the assets that we have with trails and blueways to be able to just better use what we already have, so.
So, I mean, the funding side of it, would this board be responsible then to, go for grants or write grants?
Yeah, well,
or?
they'll be responsible, but if you read the documents pretty closely, I mean, we kept pretty tight reins on that it, still has to go through the process of
Sure.
getting acceptance through
Sure.
our normal board, our normal process. It's not like they can, because if you read some of the state statutes, you can give them a lot of power, and we tried to keep it to where it's
Right.
more in line with what we are normally used to here at Kosciuszko
So one could
County.
assume they're gonna bring money into the county
Right.
that we didn't even know about.
Right, and
Yeah.
and commit us to things that the council or the commissioners aren't in support of, so. But, I think I would see this being probably a position that's meeting, monthly, maybe a little bit more as we're trying to do some selection because my guess is, I know James from MACOG is already committed that he's willing to do a parks plan for us. But the trail plan is something that's a lot more in-depth, because it's not just, I want a line from point A to point B, it's what's the best route and what are the red flags, we got wetlands, we don't have a bridge across US, I mean, what are the problems that we're gonna encounter, that it's a viable plan, not just a pretty drawing that, to try and build it doesn't work. So that would be something we would have to find a consultant to do that for. So, selection of consultant, there might be an extra meeting or two, but mainly I would see this getting to where it's a monthly meeting. Not a huge time commitment, but, as there's opportunity, because I know the DNR has some opportunities as far as the training and what a board should look like and how a parks board should function. So I think there's some things that but I would say it's a bare minimum of once a month, but, especially getting started, it could be a little more than that, because you're really gonna be setting the vision for this department this first couple of years, so.
Another thing too that I forgot to mention with the MACOG meeting is that they do help with grants. So, and I don't, do they charge for that? I can't. Yeah, so.
So another benefit of our
Yeah.
MACOG membership.
Oh, I mean, all
What
our
a-
community crossing grants, all that stuff, I mean, they're doing all that stuff for us. I mean,
Helping
Steve,
us.
Michelle does a ton of work to make it happen, so, but they're the ones that are really putting the dots on the Ts or on the Is and crossing the Ts and sending it to the state, so I mean, they are a huge asset for us that I don't think we realize how much MACOG really supports not only Kosciuszko County, but the other communities in our county, so.
Thank
Great
you, Carrie.
organization.
Thank you. And with that, I think I don't have anything else, except I do have a scout certificate, if everybody would please be sure and get your John Henry on that tonight. Anybody have anything else?
Sue Ann,
Motion to-
I was looking at my calendar, there's a not-for-profit meeting of the committee for the not-for-profits on the 25th, Wednesday at 9 o'clock, just for the members that are on that committee, just a reminder.
Oh,
And
okay,
it's in the flex room, down first floor.
okay. Okay. Tell me that one more time. I'm sorry.
It was the 25th.
August 25th.
No, this month, May.
Oh,
Oh, May.
Because the non-for-profits will be coming with their requests probably in June or so.
Yes, tomorrow's the deadline for the nonprofits to turn in the information to me. I have almost everything prepared for the May